that man can do, but man should be saying we can do anything that women can do. On this occasion, I would like to welcome our speaker, Ms. Swaima Ahmad ma'am, entrepreneur, soft skill developer, founder of Finance Academy of Training. I would like to invite Ms. Swaima Ahmad ma'am to enlighten us. Ma'am,
Yes, thank you so much, Runkan. Hi, boys and girls. Good afternoon. I wish all my lovely ladies out here a very, very happy Women's Day. And I take this moment to thank SB Jain College of Engineering and the Department of Electrical Engineering for having invited me. It's an absolute pleasure for me to be here with all of you and to be interacting with you on a topic so diverse and so real, that is women empowerment. So before we get ahead with this webinar, I have a few instructions to give all of you guys, a few requests rather. The first request is I request all my participants, all my 40 young leaders. Wow, I love the response in the comment box. Looks like the audience is quite proactive today. Amazing. So I request all my young leaders, 40 of you, to stay with me till the very end of this webinar. Coupled with this, please remember that your doing is more important than your data. In other words, an idea without execution is just a delusion, which means we'll be learning a lot of interesting things in this webinar today. If you want to make this webinar a roaring success, boys and girls, I request you to apply all the ideas we'll be learning today. All right, we'll be learning a lot of exciting psychological mantras behind women empowerment, self-empowerment, on personal, professional effectiveness. I request you guys to make sure that you apply that in your everyday life. All right. My third request to all of you is to jot down all the interesting points you hear. You know, you can't trust your memory, and that is the reason why you have to really make sure that you're jotting down everything or the important things you're listening to them. And the last request, boys and girls, is please make sure that you are a little more interactive and participative. We have the chat box right here, and I want all of you, boys and girls, to be a little more interactive by writing your comments here. If you like something, please let me know. If you want to add an additional comment, please feel free to do that. In case you want to ask a question, you can do that as well. So basically, the comment box is for you to flood your opinions, and you're most welcome to do that. All right. On that note, let's get started. Why have we chosen a topic like women empowerment on this auspicious day? You all know the reason. It's International Women's Day, and letting our men and women, young men and women, know what women empowerment is important, right? Now, to help you understand the concept of empowerment, I'm going to share a short story with you. और ये कहानी basically एक बादशाह की है, और जो किंगडम था इनका, यहाँ पे एक बहुत अटपटा रूल था। और अटपटा रूल ये था कि यहाँ पे जो भी राजा बनता है वो 5 साल तक राज करने वाला है, और 5 साल बाद उसे एक ऐसी जगह भिजवा दिया जाता है जहाँ पे शायद इंसान और कोई नामो निशान ना हो। तो बेसिकली दे वर अबैंडन्ड इन अ जंगल फुल ऑफ फ्लोरा एंड फौना, और एक ऐसा मोड़ आया इस किंगडम में जहाँ पे दे वर हंटिंग फॉर अ किंग। और जब वो ढूंढ रहे थे अपने राजा को, तो nobody was ready to become the new king, basically because every man in the kingdom knew that they have a typical rule, and the rule is that after every 5 years the king retires and he is abandoned somewhere. Now basically what happens is that the people in the kingdom are hunting for a judicious, wise, intelligent man, and they've come across one such individual. पर again as expected, ये इंसान तैयार नहीं है कि मैं राजा बन जाऊँ यहाँ पे, because 5 साल बाद अपनी जिंदगी बर्बाद नहीं करनी है. But कहीं ना कहीं these people convince him, and he has a strategy in the back of his mind, and therefore he gives a thumbs up. Okay, I'll do it. Now the day he is appointed as a king, boys and girls, इसकी जो 5 साल थे, ये 5 साल में उसने एक ऐसी strategy बनाया कि उसे शायद उसकी life wouldn't have come to an end at the end of 5 years. पहले साल में इस राजा ने he tried identifying ये कौन सा patch of land है जहाँ पे सभी former kings, ex-kings को भिजा दिया जाता है. He identified that land. In the second year of his kingdom, gradually he started relocating the flora and fauna. He knew यहाँ पे जंगली जानवर है, बहुत सारे झाड़ है, dense forest है. He started relocating those species of plants and animals. All right. In the third year, boys and girls, he started to make this patch of the kingdom a more livable patch. More livable patch simply means जहाँ पे लोग आके बस सके और जहाँ पे रह सके, जहाँ पे basically इंसानों का uh, they can come and survive over there. All right. Now, fourth year mein, चौथे साल में, they started selling properties on this patch of land. People of the kingdom started buying this land, buying properties on this land. Or finally, पांचवें साल में, what happens is that this patch of the kingdom, boys and girls, becomes the most vibrant, the most brilliant, and the most livable patch in the whole kingdom. And at the end of 5 years, the king is on cloud nine. For the first time in the history of the kingdom, a king is retiring without shedding tears because he's overjoyed. He knew he didn't really spend his life lavishly spending the treasures from the kingdom. He knew he spent a very wise tenure in the 5 years. He worked hard in terms of administration, planning, execution, but moreover, he also knew exactly how to take care of his afterlife, over there in the patch of the kingdom, and he worked relentlessly for it. Right? I think somehow this is exactly what the equation of empowerment is all about. Somehow we knew there's a particular time for empowerment, especially for us as individuals, as women, as youngsters. There's a particular phase in our lives, and I think. This phase is the rocket years. Rocket years किसे कहते हैं? Basically, this time window, this age bracket between 21 years to 30 years, according to psychologists, this is called the rocket years ka period. And if you are not able to empower yourselves during this phase, during this patch, during this bracket, somehow you're playing small with your lives. And exactly that is the mission of this webinar today. To empower you, to ignite you, to inspire you, and to illuminate you, to understand there's a particular time for you to empower yourselves as women, as individual. Right now, what exactly is the meaning of the word empowerment? हम सभी ने सुना है, हम आए दिन सुनते रहते हैं gender equality, women empowerment. Now let's remember that women empowerment is not just a definition, not just a word. Basically, it's a whole process of empowering women. How do we do it? Empowerment can be defined in many, many ways. One of the ways is what we heard in the story, right? Story में हमने simply ये सीखा है basically कि एक राजा ने किस तरह अपने समय का बखूबी इस्तेमाल किया, सदुपयोग किया, and he was able to emerge victorious as an individual, as a king, probably as an administrator, as a planner, most importantly. And if you are able to make the most of your rocket years by investing in your knowledge bank, in your personal development, in your professional development, in your social skills, in your spiritual growth, in your mental health, in your physical well-being, in your academic growth, in your financial stability, probably you will have a gala time later on. And that's exactly how I define empowerment. If you really want to live a life of your dreams, if you want to manifest your highest potential, if you want to become an empire builder, building empires of creativity, prosperity, impact on humanity, productivity, you begin right now, right? You begin right now. If you really want to become a master of your craft, you begin right now. If you really want to make your life exciting, exhilarating, empowered, you begin right now. There is no right opportunity in future, boys and girls. One of the greatest regrets that most of the youngsters have these days is not spending the best time of their days, the best months of their years in doing productive things. We know exactly how all of us are surrounded by toxicity all the time. It could be in terms of toxic people, in terms of toxic places, in terms of toxic pursuits. We don't realize it honestly. It's called a fool's paradise. We enjoy in that moment, we don't realize what repercussions or consequences this moment will have in the future. Right? And fool's paradise is something that really kills most of our dreams right now. If you are uninspired, lethargic, sluggish, you keep procrastinating, the reason probably is that you're enjoying your fool's paradise. What is fool's paradise? Enjoying in the moment in terms of people around you, if they're toxic, in terms of place, if you're at a toxic place right now, or maybe toxic pursuits, activities, something like scrolling down your Instagram, Facebook reels throughout the day, something like doing anything that wouldn't give you any benefit probably in 5 years. Right, that's what fool's paradise is all about. And I feel fool's paradise and empowerment are poles apart. They're exactly opposites of each other. And today, if you really want to make this webinar practical, powerful, and potent, boys and girls, the best way is to realize that your empowerment as an individual. Now, women empowerment, honestly, is not a women centric word. You can't empower women without empowering men. So, somehow, let's make this self empowerment, right? We have to empower ourselves, because if you're empowered, you empower the people around you. And I defined the word empowerment for you, right? Now, when we talk about specifically women empowerment, boys and girls, let's remember it's all about decision making process, right? Involving women in the decision making process. And fortunately, we are living in an era right now wherein we know the progress made by women across the world. We know how women are deeply involved in the process of decision making everywhere, be it politics, be it sports, be it governance, be it education, be it science and technology, be it discoveries, everywhere. In this webinar, I really want to keep it very raw and real, boys and girls. And how do we do it? We do it by discussing something very practical, something very raw, something real, something that impacts our everyday lives. All right. There's a wonderful quote by Bruce Lee. He says that I do not fear the man who has practiced 10,000 kicks. I fear the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times. This is Spartan warrior credo, boys and girls, which says that the warrior who sweats the most in training bleeds the least in war. I repeat, because it's so powerful. The warrior who sweats the most in training bleeds the least in war. And that's exactly what I want you guys to understand today. That this time available to you at your disposal, these 4 years of your engineering, this time is a game changer. You can make or break your careers. And I totally mean it. I'm a living example of that, because I remember how my time of graduation and post-graduation, in no way am I being boastful. I'm sharing this with you with a deep love and respect. If you've heard my TED talk on YouTube, my TEDx talk titled The Forever Fears, I share the story of my life, how I was suffering from Bell's palsy, facial paralysis, overcoming this disability, finally going ahead and winning 500 plus debate and elocution competitions, establishing my own academy named Finesse, starting an event management company, representing India at various competitions, at various conferences, at international conferences, and finally trying to discover life every single day. What exactly is this passion and profession and profit, and how do you make the most of your life? I think it's all about doing the right thing at the right time. Right thing at the right time, right? And for you guys, all of you 40 young leaders with me right now, boys and girls both, I think the best way to empower yourself and resolve and commit to empowerment is to make sure you're grabbing opportunities every single day, in your college, outside your college, in terms of extracurricular activities, in terms of co-curricular activities, in terms of interdepartmental events, in terms of in terms of intercollegiate events. Make sure you develop your skills during these 4 5 years, your managerial skills, your organizational skills, your communication skills, your people skills. Empower your knowledge bank. There's a quote which says that awareness is the beginning of transformation. Right? There are times that we as women, we as individuals, we're never aware of the opportunities. We're never aware of the legal opportunities available to us. We're never aware of the knowledge we need to possess. Right? We need to become aware of opportunities, of knowledge, of the legal aspects, of the rights we have as women. And that's exactly when you begin the transformation process. Right? Become aware. Know what's happening around you. Right? Know what's happening around in the country, in the world. what developments are taking place. I'm not saying that you go and listen to toxic news and listen to people screaming on the screens. No, but know what's your right at this junction, what your duties are as individual. Right, that's how you begin the transformation process. Now, boys and girls, I'm really excited to see all of you today because it gave me a chance to inspire you. And if even 10% of you guys are inspired and if you're empowered in some way, this would be the greatest return gift for me. I'm so grateful to have all of you. Now, continuing with this webinar, boys and girls, I really want you guys to know there are basically the 5 ways in which you can empower yourself right now. Right? According to a research by Harvard Business Review, boys and girls, they say that 85% of your success in your career depends upon your soft skills, which means how you talk to people, how you listen to people, how you make someone feel important, how do you communicate your ideas, how do you reach out to people, how do you network with people, how do you market yourself, etc., etc. 85%. And they say the remaining 15%, nearly 15%, are probably your hard skills or your job specific skills, maybe coding or computing, or basically your technical skills. In no way am I suggesting that you ignore your technical skills and go ahead and learn your soft skills, not at all. But the whole point is it's high time that we strike a balance between these two areas of human resource, that is your soft skills as well as your hard skills. In fact, according to a research by Harvard Business School, they say that the word charisma is basically what empowers you and your life in innumerable ways. And this word charisma, this research study says, basically consists of two words, two components. The first component, they say, is your warmth, and the second one is your competence. What is warmth? How warm you are with people. Simple. Your behavioral skills. How do you talk to people? How do you deal with people? How do you lead a group of people? How do you manage a team? How do you simply, how good of a team player you are is what your warmth is all about. How warm you are with people when you're around them. And the second skill, this research finding says, is your competence. That means how competent you are. Skill set, your knowledge bank, your technical skills, your non-technical skills, your academic record, your participation in various activities. So basically, when you talk about these skills, competence, basically what you do throughout your engineering, throughout your graduation, and how do you represent yourself when you go out there, probably as an entrepreneur or for a job interview or for probably campus drives, how you represent yourself. और उसकी शुरुआत recently I was having a series of workshops for the students of IM Ranchi, और यहाँ पे basically हमने CRT की एक series रखी थी, or we were discussing with these students, probably the brightest minds in the country, managerial minds in the country. We were discussing about CRT. So we began with resume writing, with interview skills, with group discussions, with personal development, with work etiquettes, etc., etc. और जब इस सीरीज की शुरुआत हुई थी, पहला वर्कशॉप था resume writing. Trust me, boys and girls, my first sentence with the students was simply that CRT is a process which does not begin right now. Okay, resume writing, we are learning how to write resume, we're learning how to write about internship, our project details, etc., etc. I remember telling them this process begins in the first year of your graduation, of your engineering or your management. Right? It begins in the first year when you start developing your persona, your personality, your skill sets, your knowledge bank, your information. When you start developing, when you start collecting items, your projects, your certificates for your resume, that's when the process begins. The earlier, the better. Not in your final year, finally, oh yes, I'm sitting here, I'm preparing my draft, I'm preparing for group discussion, I'm preparing for interview. No, it begins in the first year, boys and girls. And that is, if you're not very late by, you still have a lot of time available at your disposal. The whole point is that that's what empowerment is all about. We hear people talking about go do this, or go and contribute here, contribute there. My question is that practical at this junction? As an engineering first year, second year, third year, final year student of the electrical department, is it possible to go and apply what you're hearing from people outside? Is it practical? If the answer is no, let's discuss something that's practical, potent, and powerful. And it is this right now, boys and girls. empowering your knowledge bank, empowering your skill set so that nobody exploits you, so that you build up your confidence, that you know how to represent yourself, so that you know how to overcome barriers, be it physical or mental, so that you know how to take care of your physical well-being, your mental well-being, so that you have the power to speak up against the crimes around you, so that you know when to speak up and let people not exploit you. That's what confidence does to you, boys and girls. There's a research which says that something called self-efficacy, number one, number two, self-esteem, number three, self-confidence. If you want to play big with your life, you begin with self-efficacy. Self-efficacy मतलब ये होता है कि maybe you're given a task right now. If you're able to give your best shot in the task, if you're able to put your best foot forward, if you're doing justice to the task given to you, you're self-efficacious. This is the beginning of confidence. This is followed by self-esteem कि आप generally खुद के बारे में कैसे क्या सोचते हो. Are you are you finding yourself worthy? If yes, your self-esteem is high. If you're finding yourself unworthy, your self-esteem is very low. Right? That's what self-esteem is all about. When you are self-efficacious, you improve your self-esteem. When you improve your self-esteem, you automatically improve your self-confidence. Right? And that's the reason you've got to start empowering yourselves from this junction, boys and girls. All right. Now, moving on, let's remember that according to India today, only 20, this report says, only 20% of the people today coming out of higher institutes in India are practically talented. Only 20%. What do we mean by this? It simply means the remaining 80% of the people coming out of higher institutions are not practically talented. I was having a word with a hiring manager recently, and he says, of course, most of the employees that candidates we recruit are probably male, and a lesser percentage of our recruits are females. And the reason probably is loud and clear. It's simply the gap, the bridge between the confidence level that we as women or as men possess, right? Now, this hiring manager says that there are 5 skills I primarily look for in every candidate, irrespective of their gender, irrespective of their backgrounds, irrespective of their age or cultural barriers. 5 basic parameters, right? 5 basic credentials, 5 basic attributes. And he says these 5 attributes are: number one, effective communication skills; number two, effective people skills; number three, effective leadership skills; number four, specialized knowledge; number five, practical knowledge. Think about this, how powerful these 5 mantras are. Now, coming to how you can develop these 5 mantras to empower yourself right now, especially on this auspicious occasion. What is it? Number one, boys and girls, the first way to empower yourself is to make sure you are relentlessly working at developing your communication skills. Right? According to a research by an American survey, they say that if there is one fear that people fear the most after death, it is public speaking. We can't speak up, right? Imagine you're being, somebody's probably trying to harass you somewhere, or probably, God forbid, somebody's trying to overpower you or dominate you, or somebody's trying to bully you at the workplace in future. And if you're not able to speak up, probably you're playing small with your life. Imagine if you are given a chance to present an elevator speech in your company, and you are just able to give your name, your background, and you mumble and you stumble and you're able to continue. Probably that is what lack of confidence is, boys and girls. And therefore, उसकी शुरुआत हमें इस समय से करनी है, probably in your first year, or in your second year, or in your third year, or if you're in the fourth year, probably you still have a few months available. Somehow you have to grab this opportunity and learn the power of effective communication, right? According to a research, boys and girls, it said that your communication impact basically has 3 components. Number one, verbal communication; number two, visual communication; number three, verbal communication. Verbal, visual, vocal. All right, verbal, visual, vocal. This research study says that your verbal communication, यानी आपका शाब्दिक संवाद, केवल 7% है, only 7%, which means your selection of words, your clarity, your brevity, your mindful understanding, ये सारी चीजें बहुत important है, पर ये केवल 7% है. दूसरी चीज जो आती है आपका वोकल कम्युनिकेशन, यानी आपकी आवाज से संबंधित जो संवाद होता है. दैट मीन्स योर वॉइस मॉड्यूलेशन, your melody, your pitch, your volume, your warmth in the voice, etc., etc. Imagine I'm welcoming you to my webinar with something like this. Hi everyone, welcome to this webinar on Women's Day. Let's discuss more about empowerment. I hope you have a good time. How boring that is, right? That's called monotone, being monotonous. On the other hand, welcoming you like this. Hi, everyone. I'm so happy to have all of you in this webinar today. Thank you so much for joining in. And I really hope that all of you have a fulfilling time today. Sounds better? Why? Voice modulation, vocal variety. Well, honestly, I was telling Ashrit yesterday that I'm COVID positive at the moment, and I do have various symptoms. Of course, I am symptomatic, and probably this is not my best foot forward. I'm generally more energetic. I'm generally more vibrant in my webinars, but today a little bit of nasal congestion and sore throat. So I'm going to really give my best and speak how I generally speak. But then somehow I didn't want to miss this chance to inspire you guys on this occasion. And I'm still trying to have the vocal variety while communicating with you. So basically, vocal variety is 36% of your total communication impact, right? 36%. And the remaining 57%, boys and girls, is your visual communication, your body language, your facial expressions, your torso, your hands, your feet. All of these factors come together to form your body language, which means if you really want to develop your communication skills vibrantly, rigorously, you learn all the three aspects of communication: your verbal, your visual, and your vocal communication as well. All right. And that's how you start empowering yourself at this junction, practically. All right. The second factor, boys and girls, the second attribute, according to this research, is your people skills, effective people skills. Now, we all know that we are surrounded by people throughout the day, at home, at workplace, in college. You can't really do without people. And therefore, you have to treat people like assets. According to Mary Kay Ash, who's a French entrepreneur, she says that every human being has an invisible tag hanging from his or her neck, which says, "Make me feel important." Do we generally do that? While talking to people, somehow our focus is entirely on ourselves, I, me, and myself, right? While communicating with people, are we able to treat them like a VIP? If yes, probably you are on the way to learn people skills. If not, it's high time you start learning people skills. And especially as women, it's difficult to strike a chord with people. It's difficult to really know what topics to discuss, right? Let's remember the fact that every individual is primarily interested in himself or herself. Remember that while dealing with people. Right now, when we talk about empowerment, it's all about developing yourself, developing your institutions, your organizations, your country. Right, it begins with the first step you take as an individual. If you look at any change maker in the country right now, anybody who you look up to, anybody who you're inspired from, you'll see that he or she didn't really start contributing to the country directly. He or she began by developing his self or herself first, right? By developing his work potential, his skills, his skill sets, his expertise. And that's when you go on to contribute to your organization, your institution, your city, your region, and your country, right? So the step begins with your development, boys and girls. There's so many celebrities right now talking about women empowerment, about the Me Too movement, about hashtag girl love, hashtag gender equality. Now, let's understand that it all begins by emphasizing the fact that decision making is important. You have to obtain certain rights, basically, to start impacting the decisions in your community, in your society, as individuals. And you need to start accessing opportunities, boys and girls. Start accessing opportunities. There's so many things available right now. The only condition is your awareness. Are you really aware of these opportunities? Be it in terms of, a fellowship development program, or maybe in terms of an internship somewhere, or maybe in terms of volunteering with an organization. There are so many opportunities you have at your disposal. And this is what empowerment is all about. Empowerment includes actions of raising the status of your women through education, through training, through sports, through self defense. It's all about equipping women with life skills, skills that will help you determine your life decisions, that will help you go through different problems in your life skills, all right? And therefore, what I'm talking about right now are the five basic life skills you need as engineering students, especially as female engineering students, all right? So, number one was probably your effective communication skills. In other words, your communications, your skill set of communication. Number two, your people skills, how you deal with people, which includes how to talk to people, how to listen to people, how to make someone feel important, how to praise someone, how to criticize someone, how to thank someone, how to make people's mind, how to influence someone, how to give a feedback to someone, how to have a dialogue with someone. All of these skills come together to form your people skills, and you have to start developing it right now, boys and girls. The third skill I was discussing with this hiring manager was your leadership skills. How you lead a group of people. All right. Basically, कहानी एक गांव की है जहाँ पे अगले दिन एक मंदिर की स्थापना हो रही थी और पंडित जी एक अनाउंसमेंट करते हैं, ऐलान करते हैं कि अगले दिन सुबह 7 बजे सभी गांव वालों को अपने घर से एक जग में एक दूध का जग लेके आना है और उस कुएं में डालना है, और अगले दिन सुबह पूजा के बाद, इनॉग्रेशन के बाद, उस मंदिर की स्थापना के बाद गरीबों में दूध को बांटा जाएगा। और इन्हें वक्त दिया गया था रात में कि आप 8 से 12 के बीच में कभी भी आप यहाँ पे लाके कुएं में दूध डाल सकते हैं और अगले दिन ये कार्यक्रम चालू होगा। ये प्रकृति जो है, जो प्रोसेस जो होने वाला है वो चालू होगी। अब अगले दिन जब पंडित जी आते हैं, वो कुएं में देखते हैं तो शायद कुएं में बहुत ही मिलावट वाला दूध मिलता है, ये सब पानी नजर आ रहा है। और काफी पूछताछ के बाद ये पता चला कि गांव के सभी घर के लोगों ने ये किया कि वो लोगों ने जग में शायद पानी भर के ले गए, ये सोच के कि बाकी लोग तो लेके जा रहे हैं दूध, व्हाट इफ आई कैरी अ ग्लास ऑफ अ जग ऑफ वाटर, इट डजंट रियली मेक अ डिफरेंस। और अगले दिन अनफॉर्चुनेटली दे गॉट टू नो दैट देयर वाज ओनली a family that really got a jug of milk and the rest of them simply carried water. Now that's exactly how I define teamwork. If you're someone who knows how to pass the bucks, pass the responsibility, I'm not doing it, he will take care of it. Probably you need to start developing your leadership skills, boys and girls. Leadership skills begin with your contribution in your group project right now at this junction. आप इस वक्त क्या कर रहे हैं? How is your contribution in the group work given to you, in the project work given to you, in the group tasks given to you? What is your contribution? If you're someone who's least bothered, uninspired, inactive, it's high time you change your course of action. You start developing your leadership skills right now. I think the best way is to be organizational. If you know how to organize activities, events, manage things, that's how you begin your development of leadership skills. I really appreciate Ashit's persistence. I remember Ashit got in touch with me a week ago and I couldn't really respond on time owing to my preoccupation with various activities and events. And it was probably yesterday when we finalized this webinar. I really appreciate his swiftness getting the creatives made, inform you guys about it at the 11th hour, and I see you in such a huge number. This is how I define leadership skill. Your swiftness in making decision and getting your work done, right? Start developing your leadership skills right now, boys and girls, right? So I can give you probably hundreds of examples of how you do it, but try to remember, take lead, learn to speak up, develop your decision-making skills, know the power of goal setting, know the power of critical thinking, how to think probably in a moment of difficulty, in a moment of emergency, right? That's what your leadership skill is all about. All right. Moving on to the next factor, boys and girls, the fourth component, the fourth parameter is your specialized knowledge, right? Now, we all know that in the first year of engineering, we study everything together. We have general subjects, common subjects. It's only the second year that we're bifurcated, right? You choose your area of interest, you go ahead, you learn your specialized subject, and that's when you finally choose your master's, you choose a specific subject, you go on to your project, and finally you choose a job for yourself. Now remember, boys and girls, this process of self-education or holistic education is all about narrowing down your choices, right? In the beginning, you have an umbrella of choices. You narrow it down to a particular niche. What is a niche? A niche is your specialized knowledge. Now, we all follow some influencers on Instagram right now. We all know all of these Instagram influencers, they have a domain they're working in. They can't do everything and become popular. They have to choose a particular thing they are incredibly good at, right? I want you guys to do that for yourself. Narrow down your choices, identify a few key areas, a few key realms, a few key domains that you are interested in, you are good at, and you can definitely make money out of it. That's your ikigai. What is that something that wakes you up every morning? Your passion, your purpose. Your passion is for yourself. Your purpose is for the society. So if you're making money, you have to also contribute, right? Meaning plus money, contribution plus competition. All right. So please remember, you have to identify your ikigai. What is something you're good at? You can contribute easily. You can empower yourselves with. And that is what your specialized knowledge is all about. It could be technical, it could be offbeat, right? The more you work in your area, in your domain, in your craft, the more empowered you become, the more you empower yourself as individuals. All right. So please remember that, boys and girls, it's all about number four, specialized knowledge. There's a wonderful TED talk by Jeff Kaufman. He's also the author of the book My Personal MBA. और वो कहते हैं, if you really want to develop your genius, probably your calling, if you really want to be a genius in your craft, he says it takes 20,000 hours. And when you really try calculating these 20,000 hours, when you try giving 2 hours each day to your craft, to your side hustle, to your calling, to your passion, it takes 10 years for you to become a genius. Are you willing to invest your time in your industry? 2 hours every day for next 10 years. You become unbeatable. You become invincible. In other words, you become a master of your craft, right? And we all know that all of us are ambitious today. We are aspirational. We are ambitious. We all have dreams we nurture, right? Remember, these dreams are tiny seeds from which beautiful tomorrows grow. And if you want to have a beautiful, brilliant tomorrow, you start nurturing your dreams, you start manifesting them from today, right? That's your specialized knowledge, boys and girls. The next idea, the fifth parameter, the fifth one is your practical knowledge, your theory versus practice. I also happen to be a trainer with Dell. I train teachers and educators and mothers and different fraternity of individuals in the area of how do you synergize technology with education? How do you use technology for amping up your educational game? And I've been a trainer with Dell for the last 5 years, and the Dell's logo is knowledge is power. Well, honestly, I beg to differ. I feel knowledge is only potential power. Real power is your application of knowledge. So if you know a lot of exciting things, if you're unable to apply it, you failed miserably as a performer. हम जब बात करते हैं CRTs की, तो कहीं ना कहीं potential और performance ये correlated है. But trust me, it's a huge disparity, boys and girls. Your potential is what you have within you, the fire in your belly. On the other hand, your potential, if it's properly expressed, if it's properly projected, if it's properly showcased, it becomes performance. I want you guys to be driven by high performance, right? I want you guys to become ambassadors of growth and change makers. And that starts when you simply channelize your potential. All right. So let's remember this, boys and girls, that when it comes to your practical knowledge, it is not what you know, it's what you apply. Now, I also go to a lot of engineering and managerial colleges for conducting workshops on CRT, for preparing students for their interviews and for their campus drives. And we conduct mock interviews for them in collaboration with various HRs and multinational companies. And I've observed one thing, especially in engineering colleges, and the fact that most of the people, they come with the remarkable academic record, probably university toppers, college toppers. You ask them a question and they are cleanly bold. They are mum. They're shivering on it. We see them shivering and trembling. Why? Somehow we do have the theoretical knowledge, but we fail in applying that knowledge when it comes to answering application based questions, right? We are so busy with the bookish knowledge that we fail to understand that the best of the companies in the market today, in the corporate circles, are looking for individuals who have practical exposure, who have the practical knowledge, right? So please make sure that from today, if you really want to empower yourself on this occasion, you start by giving a more practical approach to things that you learn in your curriculum. Something like what Amir Khan did in Three Idiots. Like that's the best example of experiential and the best example of holistic education, right? Now, Aristotle, a very famous philosopher, says that you are what you do every day, which means excellence is not an act, it's a habit. I want you guys to understand when it comes to practical knowledge, practical application, it's about what you do every single day, what you do relentlessly, what you do consistently, right? आज हमारी जो generation है, the millennials, the ones born between 95 to 2005, till 95 rather, the millennials, Gen Z. The problem with this generation is that, we're a generation of instant gratification. What is instant gratification? It's all about doing something and expecting instantaneous results. You take medicines, you expect instant recovery. You start a business, you have a business idea, a startup, and you work relentlessly for 3 4 months. There are no tangible results, you give up. According to the Startup India report, 75 the startups, they die in their incubation period, in the initial phase, simply because they've given up. They felt कि कोई tangible results produce हुए नहीं है starting के कुछ महीनों में, and they give up easily, right? That's the reason why a lot of startups have failed in India, especially the ones coming from the engineering students, right? So that's what consistency is all about, boys and girls. Remember, consistency is the mother of mastery. You've got to be consistent in your efforts, no matter how miserably or terribly you fail, right? That's what instant gratification is the enemy of. So we're a generation of instant gratification. We want instant results. We, in terms of fitness, if you're working at your weight loss, weight gain, muscle mass, and if you fail, probably in the 3 4 months, you give up easily, right? You want instant weight loss. Now, I'm a product of that. I lost around 16 kg weight a year ago, and I know what consistency is, boys and girls. It's very easy to say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. When it comes to action, hardcore focus, it's so difficult. You've got to be consistent for a long time, right? You've got to be consistent. And same thing in romantic relationships. Ours is a generation that's not really willing to invest in long-term romantic relationships, and that's the reason why we end up failing in love, or we end up in one night stands, or we end up as frequent lovers, right? So the whole point right now, boys and girls, if you want to make it big, if you want to do something remarkable in your personal life, professional life, social life, spiritual life, mental health, physical health, financial stability, you've got to be consistent in your efforts, right? Forget the idea of instant gratification, right? एक समय था, probably 10 साल पहले, एक शतक पहले, decade ago, एक सामान्य व्यक्ति का attention span हुआ करता था 10 मिनट. यानी for you have taken probably 10 minutes to really judge me, and know if I'm boring or interesting, powerful or powerless, likable or dislikable. You would take 10 minutes. But unfortunately, in today's day and age, that attention span of 10 minutes has shrunk to merely 7 seconds. It means we judge people instantly. We judge people on the go, right? And that's the reason why we don't really like watching IGTVs. They're 5 minutes long. We really enjoy the reels because we're getting entertained and satiated in merely 15 to 30 seconds. That's what instant gratification does to you. That's what attention deficit disorder does to you. Remember, boys and girls, if you want to make it big, if you want to empower yourselves, you have to remember that your energy is more precious than your intelligence. Your focus is more precious than your intelligence. You have to learn how to channelize your energy, how to focus on something without falling into the attention deficit disorder, judging in 7 seconds, giving up in 7 seconds. Right now, there's something what your phone notifications do to you. The moment you hear the notification, there's something called a dopamine shot. It really excites your brain. Something cocaine also does to your brain. It's a dopamine shot, and that's something you've got to fight against, boys and girls. Fight against distractions. Fight against toxic environments if you want to empower yourself in the real sense of the term. All right. That's what the last idea is, your practical knowledge. Right. You have to do something relentlessly every single day. What we generally do is, there is something called cognitive dissonance. एक साइकोलॉजिकल आइडिया है ये. इसका मतलब ये होता है कि हम जो कहते हैं और हम जो करते हैं इसमें जमीन आसमान का फर्क है. और हम में से कितने लोग ऐसे हैं, प्रॉब्लम हम सभी ऐसे हैं. There's an integrity gap, an action gap. We say something, we do something different altogether. This is again probably one of the reasons why our generation is victimized. We have this cognitive dissonance in everything we do. For example, if you're someone who tells me that, ma'am, I'm a fitness freak, and then somebody really, evaluates your daily routine, they find that you don't drink enough water, you don't take enough nutrition, you don't consume proper protein amount, you're someone who's eating junk and simply dumping garbage into your body. If you're someone who's not able to sleep properly for 8 hours every day, someone who's awake like a night owl every day and compromising with your precious sleep. If you're someone who's not working out, someone not even moving your body, sitting on a couch potato 24/7, probably your fitness game is nowhere, right? And you still say you're a fitness freak. Now that's cognitive dissonance. Remember, your daily action reflect your deepest beliefs. You have to be a girl of action. You have to be a boy of action, doing what you believe in. And it's very, very difficult. Very difficult, especially if you're someone who's on autopilot mode. कि आप वही सुबह रोज उठ रहे हो, सो के 1 घंटा आप इंस्टाग्राम पे हो, आप फेसबुक पे हो, टाइम पास कर रहे हो, and then eating food, answering the nature's call, and retiring to bed. That's what your routine looks like. If that is what your routine looks like, boys and girls, remember you're in autopilot mode. You have to change the way things have popped up, boys and girls. Please remember that. That's the best way to empower yourself right now. All right. Now that's what I'm talking about. Daily improvements. Don't expect to do something once in a blue moon, once in a while. कि मैं हफ्ते में एक बार करूँगा, I'm gonna do it. No, it's about your daily actions, your marginal progress, your incremental progress, your daily improvement. If you're someone who wants to develop his communication skills, you don't begin by directly going and speaking on stage. कि अब मैं जाके 10 लोगों के सामने बोलने वाला हूँ. No, it begins with you doing small things like reading every day, loud reading every day, at least one page. At least one page. The best way to empower your skill set, your knowledge bank, right? So I'm a voracious reader, and basically I do a lot of research on my craft, and I simply can't. It's difficult for me to not grow myself every day. If I don't, probably I'll be perished. So I'm reading this book right now. It's called Campus to Corporate. Now that's something I do every single day, right? I train students in their professional etiquettes, in their business etiquettes, and I have to know what's happening in the market. It's the latest book published in 2020, and I have to really make sure that I know what's happening in the market in terms of interviews, in terms of group discussion, in terms of assessment tests, in terms of apti, etc., etc. The other book I'm reading right now is, of course, I love self-help literature, and this is The Greatest Secret. So I'm reading this book at the moment, and it's something on psychology of self-empowerment, personal development, and this is something that really keeps me going. So despite my engagements and my busy schedule, I make it a point to sit and read for half an hour every day, every day. And that's what consistency is, boys and girls. I want you guys to start investing in your daily habits. Your daily habits. You can't go and inspire other people if you are yourself not inspired. Right? So please make sure that you read every day, you work out every day, you drink enough water, eat good food, make sure that you're able to Develop your expertise. If you want to make a career in something, start learning more about it, read more books about it, watch more videos about it, join online courses to develop your skill sets, boys and girls. Join people, be with people, follow people, join communities that really empower you. It's very important to make the most of your rocket years right now. This is your rocket year time, right? That's what your marginal improvement is all about. There is a this wonderful quote which says, "A leader leads thyself." If you want to be a leader, you don't lead 100 people and become a leader. You lead yourself first. There's this old model of leadership which says, uh, you will be a leader only if you have a massive bank account, an enormous office, or if you have a title like a CEO or an MD or an HOD. No, that's an old model of leadership, boys and girls. The new model of leadership, Leadership 2.0, says that if you are alive and kicking, you have the opportunity as well as the responsibility to be a leader. All right. Please remember that. You are a leader irrespective of where you are, what background you come from, what station of life you are in, whether you want to be an entrepreneur or an employee, or simply want to get rid of your poverty, or if you simply want to give your best shot every day, or if you simply want to learn a new skill, no matter what, you start by turning the microscope inward, looking at yourself, your loopholes, your shortcomings, your weaknesses, your strengths, and that's when you prepare your action plan to become the best version of you. All right. Now that's about the 5 skills, boys and girls. Number 1, effective communication. Number 2, people skills. Number 3, leadership skills. Number 4, specialized knowledge. Number 5, practical knowledge. Your incremental progress, what you do every single day. And if you're able to do that, trust me, you begin the process of empowerment. You become more aware. You're able to solve problems in life. You redefine the gender roles. If we as generation, if we know that we should not be differentiating between boys and girls, we start to bring change at home. When you are empowered, right? When you know how to act, when you know how to behave, when you know how to get things done, when you know how to take a decision for yourself, right? So please remember, boys and girls, you have to have the ability to choose whether you want to be a victim or you want to be a leader. Please remember that being dumb is hard because people make fun of you. Being intelligent is also hard. Being overweight is hard, but being fit is also hard. Being a lack of awareness is hard, but being aware of your rights, of your responsibilities is also hard, right? You have to choose your hard. Everything in life is hard. If you don't have something, people make fun of you. If you want to have something, you have to work really hard for it, relentlessly hard for it. And you have to choose your hard right now, especially today on this International Women's Day. Please remember, there are no restrictions out there. It is only the limitations you've set for yourself on your mind, in your mind. You have to be the one who's empowering other people by empowering yourself, right? Please remember all this, boys and girls. You have to start taking roles, acting wisely every single day. And empowerment and disempowerment are correlated. Remember, if you're not empowering yourself, you're disempowering yourself. You're missing out on the opportunities. All right. Women empowerment has become such a very important topic in development, in economics. But remember, we approach the topic of women empowerment or gender equality by beginning from our homes. They say charity begins at home. Start with your place, start with yourself. All right. And that's what empowerment is all about. It's all about ability for you to enjoy your rights, control yourself, benefit from the resources available outside, the assets available for you, the income opportunities available for you. And remember, there's a time to do everything. Manage your risks well, improve your economic status, improve your well-being. And remember, gender empowerment, it refers to you empowering yourself as a male, as a female, and know your gender roles. As a male, what is your responsibility, right? If you're eve teasing, probably you're the most irresponsible person, right? You have to know your roles, how you protect the other gender, right? That is more important. You don't have to have one particular festival to celebrate Women's Day or to celebrate your right, your supremacy. No, it's all about we benefiting from each other, right? It's all about knowing the idea that you have to enhance yourself qualitatively as well as quantitatively. Let's remember that human resource is the greatest resource on the earth, and we have to make the most of it by developing the human resource, by developing our human rights, by addressing human development, by bringing about sustainable development, things that we do every single day that we can sustain in order to bring about all round progress. All right. On that note, boys and girls, I take this moment to conclude this webinar. Please remember, it's all about you empowering yourself. Please remember, it's all about the idea that women definitely is the generator of a new generation, but also remember that the men in society, they are the direction of this generation. So we work together, we synergize. There's this book by Stephen Covey. He says that in his book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, he says 1 plus 1 is equal to 3. You know why? That is synergy. When two powerful forces come together to work together, to collaborate, we produce tremendous results. So 1 plus 1 is equal to 3. And that's what gender empowerment does. Right? Please remember that. वो कहते हैं कि चाह रखने वाले मंजिलों को ताकते नहीं, चाह रखने वाले मंजिलों को ताकते नहीं, थाम लिया, आगे बढ़कर थाम लिया करते हैं जिनके हाथों में हो वक्त की कलम, जिनके हाथों में हो वक्त की कलम, अपनी किस्मत वो खुद लिखा करते हैं. I want you guys to be an architect of your future. I want you guys to start empowering your lives and empowering the lives of everybody around you. Thank you so much for joining me today. I take a moment to thank all of you, the ones who've stayed with me till now, the ones who've joined me. Thank you so much for being here. I hope this whole webinar was of value to you. I hope I served you well. Please remember, my mission is to help you reach the world class in your personal life as well as in your professional life. So thank you so much. I would love to get in touch with you. I provide a lot of free content, a lot of valuable content on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. My name is the same that you see on the screen right now, Swaima Ahmad. That's my username for Facebook, for Instagram, for LinkedIn. We're a community of around 10K people on LinkedIn. Please get in touch with me so that you take benefit of the whole opportunity available to you in terms of your personal development, in terms of your professional development. Please get in touch, and I'll be so happy to serve you in terms of my short-term workshops, in terms of my free webinars, in terms of the content I provide you with on social media. So thank you so much, boys and girls. Please forgive me if there was any kind of inconvenience caused, and I wish you all the brilliance. Please remember, I'm your partner in success. I'm always cheering for you. And I really hope all of you go ahead and empower yourself and make the most of your rocket years. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ashad. Thank you to the team, Electrical Engineering Department for having invited me. And I'm so happy to see your comments pouring in the comment box. Thank you so much, everyone. Over to the host.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your valuable time with us. And we are really grateful to have with you. Once again, thank you so much, ma'am. I would like to thank all the students and the members of Elan committee. If you have any queries, then please feel free to contact with us. And we have a number of Miss Swaima Ahmad ma'am, so feel free to contact with me, also with ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Thanks a lot, everyone.